The 21-year-old Russian Kirill Tereshin rose to fame around November 2017 when a small video crew documented the insane disproportional size of his arms that he had achieved by injecting synthol into his biceps and triceps. Synthol is an oil that is commonly used by professional bodybuilders to make a certain muscle pop more, but Kirill went beyond a little popping. At the beginning of December, he was featured on the Russian television program Live with Andrei Malakov. Here, Kirill basically gets called an idiot by other invited celebrities, a few medical experts, a small live audience and his own mom. Also featured on the show was Kirill's idol, Alexander Speck, a bodybuilder who gained notoriety for his many cosmetic surgeries, body modifications and general extravagant appearance. This is worth mentioning as Kirill talks about going after a similar look.
Моя идеальная форма руки, например, это 65 сантиметров и на все тело. Ракез будет прическа, перекрашена в цвет хамелеона, на левом ухе серьга золотая, один глаз будет желтого цвета и один глаз будет голубого.
However, he wants to do so only to achieve more fame and to make millions so that he wouldn't need to go back to his old job. Kirill also began calling himself Ruki Bazuki, which translates to Bazooka Arms, but outside of the Russian social media and other outlets, he would be known as the Russian Synthol Kid. He now had officially started his 15 minutes of fame and people on the street flocked to him to admire the gun show for the price of a selfie. On December 10, Kirill posted a picture of himself in his living room with his arms wrapped up in towels and plastic grocery bags, and a caption that said he needed to get rid of his bazookas. He also posted another picture that showed the aftermath of his drained arms. This news got a lot of attention because it was what everyone was seemingly waiting for to happen, but it was all a hoax to get everybody to talk about him again. He claimed he made $17,000 of the hype he generated with his own fake news. Kirill will make another guest appearance on the same TV show, but this time he colored his hair and wore makeup, taking more after his idol Alexander Speck, but he'd only do this on a few occasions and would mostly stick to his guns. After this, Kirill actually became somewhat of a minor internet celebrity in Russia, having occasional guest appearances on various TV shows and events. However, after a little while, Kirill's 15 minutes of fame seemed to be coming to an end. Synthol injections and makeup will only get you so far. He will need to think of a new way to keep up his e-fame. There are some small attempts like getting silicone implants for his calves and pretending that his arms got drained again in the social media post where he upgraded from towels and plastic bags to actual bandages to make it seem more authentic. But these didn't create a lot of buzz, so he needed something bigger. Around May 2019, Kirill started to entertain the idea of putting his bloated muscles to the test. One of the biggest criticisms people had so far was that the increase of size of his muscles didn't actually translate to an increase in strength. In another publicity stunt and a fight for relevancy, Kirill took on the Russian face-slapping champion Vasily "Dumpling" Komotsky, who heavily outweighed him. The outcome was pretty predictable and seemed to satisfy some critics who just wanted somebody to knock some sense into his head. A little later, he started to hype people up for a cage fight where he would take on the 43-year-old Russian blogger Oleg Mongol. According to two online sources and Oleg himself, he is an actual MMA fighter with 1 loss and no wins in his quote-unquote fighting career. He also has a YouTube channel and an Instagram page where he would hype people up for the big event. The long-anticipated fight was pretty uneventful, with most of the focus being on Kirill and nobody knowing who Oleg was and just referring to him as some Russian blogger. This topic had a lot more views compared to Kirill's slapboxing match and it got more articles dedicated to the event, but by now people were already used to Kirill's antics and quickly moved on. Kirill lost, by the way, when Oleg kept driving his elbow into his throat. However, the inevitable still had to happen sooner or later, and in November 2019 it did. Kirill was experiencing too much discomfort and pain in his arms and had to actually get surgery this time or it would lead to severe consequences. A portion of the synthol oil was drained and about 3 pounds of that muscle tissue had to be removed. Kirill doesn't seem to have learned anything from this, and in his latest social media post he talked about how he can't be broken and already knows what he will do next. And so the cycle continues. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you're new here, you can check out some of the other videos I've done so far. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you if you've been following my content so far. It's greatly appreciated. Recently I also reached over 1,000 subscribers and haven't addressed it properly yet, but I will do so in the next video. I'd like to thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.